Alrighty. Hello, a young grasshopper who's trying to learn Untitled Harbor Strat. You may be wondering, why is this strat untitled? Why is it called Untitled Harbor Strat? It's because everybody wants to submit their brain rot name and none of them stuck, so it's still untitled at this current moment in time. But basically, I'll see if I can just hit one right off the bat here. And then we'll get into it. That'll work. Nice. Alright, so the gist of this strat is you want to turn outward into that first wall, then turn into the mountain, and then jump as you land on it. And so I'll start from square one here. If you're not familiar with how to get supercharge off of this bridge here, basically the way supercharge ramps work in Spyro 1 is if something is categorized as a supercharge ramp and Spyro charges from a high enough height, then he will pick up supercharge. But you have to start your charge while you are on over the ramp part, right? And the quirky thing is that all of this terrain starting from this point on the ground is categorized as a supercharge ramp, even though it's flat ground. So if you have enough height over it while you start your charge, then you get supercharge. But if you start your charge early, like this, where I started my charge, well, I was probably about, if I was to take a vertical line straight up, I was probably about here when I started that charge. Or if you start your charge too late, you might have not enough. See, I got a speed boost there. That was because I was still over the ramp, but I didn't have enough height for it to count as a supercharge. Because your height is, your speed. But basically, that's how that works, and it's used for the old strat where you get up there and stuff. And yeah, so for this one, I think I'll just clear out here so I can explain better. So you see this wall here? How I've had it explained to me is a 45. You want to be when you get to this wall with your supercharge, you want to kind of turn into it so that Spyro is moving into it at about a 45-degree angle. I'm not that good at angles. To me, what I kind of prefer is maybe more what feels like a 30-degree angle, but your mileage may vary. Just go with what feels right to you and understand that it's kind of just in that general range. You can really make anything work. But yeah, and then you want to turn 45 degrees into the mountain as soon as you fall off the edge. So as soon as you get past this point, you want to turn 45 degrees the other way, like that. And then it kind of times it perfectly. The reason that you're turning into the wall like this with your charge is it kind of times it perfectly for you to kind of get around to the side edge of that mountain that you want to use as the ramp, because it's the front part doesn't work as a ramp to jump off of, but specifically that side polygon around the corner works perfectly, which is what you're kind of aiming for. I do this a little bit different than other people. If you've been noticing my input viewer right above my head here, I do this strat on D-pad because I like the consistency of you just you hold a certain the D-pad for a certain amount of time every single time. Where like with analog, it's a bit more about like winging it and like using your kind of knowledge of like how Spyro moves when he supercharges to like it still works just fine on analog, especially if you're like experienced with like how to move Spyro on that shit. But yeah, I just prefer D-pad because it's like I can just think of it more as like a timing thing than a positioning thing, where I just like hold left and then I hold right. Like hold left for a certain amount of time, then hold right for a certain amount of time. And also because I tend to be like very micro adjusty with my supercharge, and a common issue I was having with this one when I was doing it with analog is like because of like how micro adjusty I would be with like my analog from like doing strats like the haunted supercharge and stuff. You really don't want to micro adjust very much at all when you're setting this one up. You need to be really like confident in how you're moving Spyro. Otherwise, you're gonna like kill height, basically, by like making these micro adjustments or like fuck up your angles and stuff. But yeah, some common mistakes you might run into if you hold left for too long. Sometimes you can get forced into a flop going around this corner. Like, I'll see if I could force it. I don't know though. But yeah, like if you hold left, like going around here, you can like flop here. I think that's from like holding left for too long. Like pressing left at like too late of a point. Like you have to set up your angle before you get to the edge of the wall there. And then there's also turning too hard into the wall. I'll see if I can like... You're probably gonna do that if you turn too hard into the wall. And if you don't turn hard enough after the first turn, you're gonna have that. Or if you turn too hard for the first turn. But yeah, it's all good stuff to know. And then the other main thing I wanted to talk about here is a backup that I like to do for this strat. So if you've done like other harbor things, like for example, I recommend for like intermediate level runners to like grab supercharge and just run the level with it, you know? But you might have like had issues with grabbing the bridge supercharge. Maybe you like accidentally like go over, you like do a charging jump, or you've like flop on the bridge or whatever. This is a really good backup to know for this strat. Okay, I messed it up. But still, it's like really good to know. So I really like this ramp backup because it only loses about 3 seconds, which can absolutely save a PB. I think I might have a PB that hits this ramp backup, an older one. But I'm not positive. But basically you want to get like right before this like green whatever the heck like light texture, and then you do like a full hop, because remember like your height when you have your height on the ramp is important for getting the charge. So like it's that point is really important. However, the thing with this backup that makes it tricky is if you get too high up, you're going to be moving too fast on the ramp, and so the setup is not going to work. Like, you're going to have too much supercharge. But I'd really recommend practicing this. Hang on. I'll see if I can get it right. Oh my god, I'm being too not confident with my turning here. I'm like overthinking it. Hang on. Well, you get the point though. That would have worked. I'm just being a goober. I'll try to hit one of these real quick before we go, just so that you understand. But yeah, I do think it's like harder. It's harder to hit the boost from that, but it can absolutely save your run to like whenever you like mess up, whenever you're like learning this strat and you like mess up your supercharge like from the bridge, just like seriously just give it a try. Like give the backup like one attempt whenever you mess it up, cuz it's just good to like you could clutch out and save your run. Like it's at the end of the run. You want to know your backups in my opinion. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Good luck with your Untitled Harbor strat. Later, Gators. Peace.